There is a great number of scenarios or variables of your future manifestation, and it is you who decide in which of these already existing variants you will perceive yourself. Iissiidiology describes future scenarios that are based on the newest cosmological concepts of the universe and of the human being. These concepts give full details of creative and highly spiritual processes for developing a new human society based on harmonious and humanistic relationships.
In order to become a conscious and rightful participant of such a future, you need to develop a powerful aspiration for a worldwide creativity together with other people. There will come a time on Earth when there will be a drastic increase of possibilities for those highly intellectual, highly spiritual people. These are those who have sufficiently synthesized the so-called lower levels of self-consciousness that are ready to gain a foothold in a more perfect creativity. Such people have no interest in any religious stories about the creation of man and the world. They need rational, logical, and absolute, precise knowledge systems that match their high intellectual abilities and increase creative demands. So far, Iissiidiology is the only conception that harmoniously relates the spiritual aspects of the universe to the material ones, as well as high feelings to rationality. Iissiidiology was created on an intellectual and spiritual basis of high-quality scenarios of the future of humankind, in order to reconsider current outlooks in science and research, as well as in the ethical and moral spheres of modern society. It replaces obsolete views, those that are based on the blind justification of suffering, passions, and vices, with new conceptions regarding the harmonious and eternal existence of humankind as its next evolutional development stage. It looks towards a high creativity that is free from thousand-year-old dogmas. In doing so, this knowledge opens the door that leads all people to their unexplored, immortal existence in the cosmic future, of which they are yet unaware.
One of the axiomatic conceptions of Iissiidiology states that the holographic nature of the universe is about simultaneous existence of many worlds, that it is inherent presence of many variants of forms and events in a reality which is individually perceived by everyone.
Dynamic focusing of our perception can always potentially choose from among countless pre-programmed development scenarios due to the energy information essence and to the very nature of our self-consciousness. However, more variants of a higher quality really becomes available to us only if our creativity shows a steady improvement. The higher its quality, the more interpretations of the outer reality we can use in order to really choose the most favorable scenarios, intuitively filtering out everything which seems unfavorable to us. When we study Iissiidiology and use and practice its intellectual and altruistic principles of thinking and feeling, we become more and more aware of our individual life creativity, and we stably refocus into more favorable conditions for tolerant, trust-based and highly spiritual relationships between people.
A harmonious combination of elevated thoughts and deep feelings can always inspire each of us to be involved in selfless service for the sake of other people, to express spiritual mercy and sincere compassion to everyone who needs them. It helps us to understand personal responsibility for all the imperfections of the outside world. It fills us with the ineradicable desire to make the life of every person in human society in general fairer and more beautiful.
Let us consider the future society. It is based on inseparable interrelations of rational advantages between high intellect and the altruistic potential of high spirituality. It has new forms of industrial and social economy, moral and ethical principles, and a unified worldwide statehood. This future society is completely free from the frightening awareness of inevitably approaching old age and from the ominous fear of death that limits our life activity.
The principles and methods of psychomental activity will become less dependent on biological factors. Human biology will be stabilized using high frequency levels of electromagnetic vibrations. This will result in a considerable change of DNA activity, that is, from low and mid-frequency levels to photon levels of energy information interactions, while biochemical reactions will no longer be the determining factor. Even medical treatment of the future will be based on mental and feeling sets that make purposeful changes in vibration frequencies of cells, systems, and organs of the body. That is, through wave modeling. People will be able to manipulate photons in order to create many new forms, unique kinds of intellectual matter in genetic plasma and genetic engineering, in cybergenetics and cyberbionics, in astrobiology and quantum designing. A variety of fascinating scientific development fields will emerge, which we cannot even imagine now. In the nearest decades, a considerable amount of human self-consciousness forms will synthesize the capabilities that are necessary for the stable extension of an active, creative existence in a more harmonious and more universal condition. This is due to the molecular genetic reconstruction of their biological bodies, coupled with a swift development of nanotechnologies. People will be able to upload their minds into quantum computers and will use them to choose from among existing models, or to individually model manifestation forms with their most desirable psychomental and external features. People will also use these computers to project necessary 3D images into their self-consciousness and make a distant transmission of their own mental images to others.
The whole structure of communication, social relationships, and the laws of society in future continuums are completely for the benefit of each individual who is consciously striving towards a spiritual and intellectual development. New programs will be created for the development of creativity in diverse fields of science, art, culture, economy, and ecology.
Preservation, augmentation, and careful use of natural resources, including electric power and many food products, which will be mainly made of water, air, and recycled waste, will become the primary task in the development of future humankind. All this will harmoniously correlate with the abundant harvest of unprecedented high-quality crops throughout all geographical regions, and any kind of food will be created by means of industrial and household-type quantum replicators.
Such possibilities will arise owing to new technologies in general and to materialization in particular. Holography will be, of course, the main field of innovations. All holographic software will be freely available to anyone. You will be able to change the design of any interior. For example, you'll be able to add a natural landscape inside your house, which will look absolutely real and very impressive. Holography will enter every household. It will become a usual and simply amazing, refining and inspiring factor in personal and social life. Realistic holograms will become more perfect and beautiful, and in the more distant future they will combine active psychomental effects and high-speed holographic dynamics. We will be able to use them, for instance, as fixed furniture and parts of decorations, as well as functional home appliances and other items of comfort.
Future construction mechanisms will be quite fascinating. This process will involve computer-operated robots like spiders. They will weave their webs on a structure of configurations. The robots will produce construction liquid inside their bodies and use air, light, and polymer materials pumped under high pressure. These materials will combine the strength of metals and the softness of silk. Almost all necessary products will be made of artificial materials, polymers and chromers, that is, future materials, and actively change their properties in the present time. Various kinds of these materials will completely replace metals, not only in electrical vehicles, but also in lifting and levitation equipment. Such equipment will include a special configuration of mutually intersecting fractal surfaces that are similar to beacombs, and stable anti-gravity effects will be created around them.
This will provide the opportunity to manipulate enormous weights, easily moving them to any distance, for example, using a spaceship to move such cargoes at an appropriate speed of 300 kilometers per second. Together with the means of a drastic rejuvenation of the biological organism, which will be discovered by then, such achievements will become the powerful incentives for a new era of mass cosmic travel.
There will be a partial, creative merge of humans with oceanic civilizations in certain development scenarios. Due to new technology achievements, we will easily surmount any communication barriers in our relations with them. This will provide for a wide-ranging and grandiose plan in research and exploration of water areas. In certain development scenarios, the main requirement for such a commonwealth will be that all the participants of this creative consolidation will have to pass the wave deactivation of aggression genes within the DNA structure. In other scenarios, there will be such communication devices as Heta correctors. These will be able to make direct translations of our words into thoughts and then send them to special thought reading sensors positioned in the temporal area of the head. These devices will be quickly replaced by various holographic modulators, pocket transducers, and wrist mentimers. They will considerably simplify mutual understanding between forms of self-consciousness that synthesize different aspects of qualities. In general, it will take far less time to research and improve all the nuances of communication between civilizations than you think. In many worlds where Iissiidiology is being actively studied, even children understand that a conscious transmission of thoughts and feelings from one person to another over any distance is not only possible but natural, because highly developed forms of self-consciousness have this inherent feature of energy plasma. Various technological innovations will provide for such a leap, of which scientists, economists, socialists, and politicians are completely unaware of right now. Nano and holographic technologies based on the conceptions of rotation and alertness described in Iissiidiology will not only give a clear understanding as how it is practically possible to realize the personality immortality principle, but will also provide effective solutions to long-standing human dreams about telekinesis, telepathy, levitation, and teleportation. The indigo children with inborn, extraordinary, extrasensory, and intuitive abilities that stimulate the aspiration of their highly spiritual, creative realizations will be able to intuitively discern truth from the lies and to immediately evaluate the greatest evolutional meaning of the new knowledge. They will quickly disseminate with information throughout the internet, literature, television, and mass media.
Modern indigo children and those people who have managed to sacrifice all their animal instincts and selfish needs for the sake of highly spiritual and highly intellectual transformations become the creators of the future. The world around us will rapidly and irreversibly change, and its qualities will improve, not only in terms of a more extensive use of high technological achievements in our lives, but also in respect of a more harmonious and balanced relationship in human society. and the degree of social and economic stratification of the new society will quickly decrease.
When we become more humane, intellectual, and loving, we will be able to fly, teleport, and communicate with our thoughts and feelings at a distance. We will be able to see through any obstacle and will have many other abilities. This is because all of us inherently have these universal abilities. Moreover, by becoming more altruistic and highly intellectual, we choose more favorable scenarios of our own development that include self-regeneration abilities of our bodies, as well as the improvement of our interpersonal relationships.
In approximately 1 or 2 generations, such a depressing and frightening notion as death, along with the process of dying associated with it, will disappear from everyday life. New spirituality and science will successfully put into practice the conceptions of Iissiidiology in respect of the structure of the universe. This will occur not only owing to the newest scientific achievements, but also because new forms of highly developed human self-consciousness will be free from the ignorant notions of death and egocentrism. They will confidently enter the sphere of a high-quality planetary creativity within the next 30 years. This will be the creativity of people who will be fully aware of their personality's immortality and will know how to use it for the common well-being.
Sex and egoistic personal attachments will no longer prevail in the future world. Instead, there will be harmony and individual creative compatibility, coupled with an irresistible altruistic desire of creative realization in something very important, global, and useful for all.
Hundreds of thousands of brilliant minds will participate in future international information, altruism and intellect development centers. As a result, all the latest technologies and means of communication will be put into life in such localities. New relationships in economics, industry, education, culture, philosophy, science and spirituality will be put into practice. All nations, regardless of the knowledge of Iissiidiology, will aspire to a positive interchange and an active, creative cooperation. This will eventually lead to an unprecedented global reunion of all spirituality-aspired people. And someday, the human community will inevitably create one global form of statehood, which will not be divided by any religious, national, economic, territorial, or any other selfish interest. Imagine that everyone on Earth will always think and act in the same manner as people usually and naturally do it at IIAIDCs. Millions of far-fetched social problems caused by egoism will immediately cease to exist, while such notions as responsibility, tolerance, mercy and compassion will become the common foundation of spirituality, science, philosophy, culture, politics and economics of the new world. This foundation will be fully built on the basis of the unconditional truth that all are united. This foundation will be fully built on the basis of the unconditional truth that all are united, and that it's impossible to separate the creative dynamics of all forms of self-consciousness. All new IIAIDCs will be created precisely for such high purposes. The personal life of every IIAIDC member is dedicated to the achievement of these purposes.
Зажечь в нем свет на сотни тысяч лет. Никого не жди, и свой свет скорей зажги, чтоб во тьме дорог ты не был одинок. Сотни тысяч рук мир возьмут в надежный круг, чтоб зажечь в нем свет на сотни тысяч лет. Никого не жди, и свой свет скорей зажги, чтоб во тьме дорог ты не